Going business here today with Kia, with the all-new generation of the Kia Optima. From 2010 2015 there was the previous generation of that one here. Now the new generation already, because the life cycles in the automotive industry also get shorter. The exterior, interior and driving view here is today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. This detailed look will also be including some comparison to the competitors of this car as usual. And now let's dig deep into the details in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. So in the front we don't see too many changes if we compare it to the previous generation. Again, in the general mid-size segment, I think still a very attractive deal because you have this diamond knob grille, a little bit also in place in Mercedes for example, and the so-called tiger nose front grille. It should be looking like a tiger a little bit. Though, do you get it? I don't know, but I think with this horizontal line it's forming very elegant design here, definitely. So from a design perspective, I think you could definitely count it in. The side profile is the really interesting part. First of all, let's start at the general fact. It shares the platform with the Hyundai Sonata. Therefore, for example, it will also be available as a hybrid, as the Sonata is also using that one. Starting prices in Germany for 25,000 US, 22,000. And that's not that much for the mid-size segment. And the bigger thing is, if you put it in with a higher trim level, as we have here now, the Spirit trim level, you pay less than with the competitor. So it's good price performance deal, definitely. 18-inch alloys, starts with 16-inch, those ones the optional 18 or coming with the higher trim levels. In the B color scheme or 2-color scheme, fake air outtakes. This has no function, but it's a beautiful element. And then the special thing is with a 4 meters 85 long car, you see the upper chrome line here. Usually you have the chrome in the upper and the lower part. Here it's carried out until the rear of the car, and that stresses the length a little bit. Very interesting concept. Reminds me a little bit of the Jaguar XJ. And finally to the rear, the tail lights are oriented more horizontally, and that makes the car appear a little bit broader, a little sportier, and it's also sportier underneath. The chassis has been stiffened up by 50%. And the look underneath the hood, this one here is the diesel engine, which is more important for Europe. 1.7 liter diesel, 140 horsepower, 10 seconds acceleration, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 0 to 60 miles an hour. But then there's also a 2 liter naturally aspirated engine available with 160 horsepower. And for our friends in the US, you can also get a 2.4 liter naturally aspirated engine, then with 180, not with 160 horsepower like the naturally aspirated petrol engine we get here. And also some turbo engines, two 1.6 liter with 180 horsepower and the big turbo 2 liter turbo with 245 horsepower. That's the fastest then. So when there's no one near, key in your hand, then approach the car, see it right here. Nice feature, the mirrors, they flip out. That's a nice welcoming feature. The car key, here it is, and it's very unspectacular. There you can see you can also open and close the mirrors with the car key. That you can do as well. And here you can also use the keyless function at the door handles, which are very solid. Door closing sound, it's not the best we have heard, especially not in this mid-size segment. Let's get inside. Standard sedan seating position. Not that very low, not that sporty. I would say rather neutral, but it's good because everyone gets along with this car, definitely from the seating position. 6'1", 1.86 m in height. Space still above my head, and overall it's an open, spacious feeling and also comfortable seats. Top trim level Spirit we have here with a good seating surface. We'll also take a detailed look into that. It's good that we have the electric function here, because then just some small steps, you know, when I just want to go a little bit more back is possible. Also for the rear of the seats, and also of an electric lumbar support, which is placed right here. Cockpit overview, see overall a clean and conservative style, not screaming out so much, not very focusing on design primarily. It's more really about the function, that everything is accessible very easily. Sound, for example, the climate control. You have relatively, there's still a lot of buttons left here, and that can be an advantage if you're not used to that much using everything over the infotainment system. But also the software has been updated here. We'll get to that one soon. So I want to hear your opinion, what you think about this interior. What I find quite nice, we don't have to use leather here, but still there's this kind of contrast stitching style and also a soft touch plastic. So you can still create a good harmonic surrounding here by those details. And a detailed look inside without me for a second. All of the buttons here are also well processed. Also the door handle, for example, is surrounded with real metal, solid. I like that memory function for the seats. Seats here, can detail the electronic controls for the driver's seat. Co-driver seat is manual. This is here the top trim level, the Spirit, therefore we have it. Surface of the seats, faux leather or leatherette on the outside, artificial, that's very well done. And we have cloth on the inside, so you have good climate in winter and summer. We like it that they don't do it like the German premium manufacturers that try to put leather everywhere. So, then the steering wheel, there it is, newly designed for the new generation. Has a sportier style, but for example, from the previous generation I had one with a wooden inlet at the top part, like here. That was great. I'm not sure if it's still available. I would have to study again the price list more than we usually do also as well. Instruments here, rather classical. Left inside, here in the inside digital, rest is analog. Middle console. Everything's held rather conservative, but with a good overview. Here, for example, with buttons for the camera system and also for the parking, automatic parking function. I'll test that one when we drive the car. Auto hold is possible with the electronic handbrake. 6-speed manual gearbox here. Automatic is also available. And this one here, the overview for the control stack. A little bit reminds us of BMW when you look at it that way from the styling, doesn't it? Buttons here also from good quality. In general, the build quality has been stepped up. I really like that with Kia at the moment. And a new screen with new functions. We'll go into detail there very soon. Storage spaces we can find at the inside of the doors, rather slim there. And we slide down the glove box. That's falling down, not smoothly falling down. That's a little flaw. Then a lot of space here in the front, together with the USB port and 12-volt power supply and aux in. Then beverage holders, they are non-adaptive, so just one size kind of. Not that good as well. And here a lot of space in the, or below the middle arm console. And again, I like, and also it's from a solid build quality. It cannot move a sofa to the left and the right. I like that. And finally here for your glasses. And one close-up look at the instruments again. Left and right part, analog, and the middle part you can change the stuff around. Consumption, for example, right here, all the trips, digital speedometer, but also other menus like, for example, some settings, tire pressure, radio, assistance systems, compass, and also the GPS information. The assistance systems can be turned on and off here, and right there the fuel cap can be opened there if you have never found it yet. Now to the infotainment unit. You see here the map can be zoomed in and out right here. Scrolling around it, that's a little bit strange. What is the system doing here? I would rather prefer a normal, tablet style, but that's not possible, so I rather keep zooming in and out like this. The visualization of the GPS is, not fancy, but it offers you a good overview, and that's the most important thing. Strange, I found that there's no real hotkey button for the main menu, but you can use the hotkeys for any other stuff. And for example, you see here also the reaction times. The system is really fast. Look at that, and already the language is being changed. And see how fast everything goes. Phone, here you could connect your phone via Bluetooth, just add new and then go to your Bluetooth settings of your phone. Media could use an USB port, radio, just browse your favorite radio channels, and here there's the volume control right here, or also deactivate the system. There you have this digital analog clock. So they have worked on the software. I really like it that it's reacting that fast. So using your phone via Bluetooth, but then again, if you just would plug it in, there's no Apple CarPlay available yet or something like that, but if you just plug the phone in, what is good, that's kind of being used as an iPod or USB stick, and then you can directly also play your favorite music here, just via cable with the phone. Just you don't have to set anything up. Harman Kardon sound system, by the way, with a nice surround sound. I like that. Other than that, I usually just use the Bluetooth setting then, to connect the phone. That's the better part, that you can use phone and music. Can it operate while driving? I'm not driving. Let's add new again. Can it operate while driving? Try again after parking the vehicle. Let's see. So you see, that's live test. Add new again. No, that takes some time. There it is. Then Kia Motors. Yes. Oh, we had cars where that did work faster, but now it is. Now it's connected. And see, it should also be working. The music via Bluetooth. Yeah, music via Bluetooth now, and I can also access my phone. Now the rear compartment, as I would be driving as a rather tall driver. Good feature for your kids. There's this darker privacy glass here in the rear anyway, already a little bit, but just a little bit. But then you can see here you could also close the shade. Wow, look at that. It's like this space in front of my knees. What a result. And yeah, the car is 4.85 meters in length, so rather long already for a mid-size sedan. But here, wow, what a great package using of space. Maybe this result we only had with the Skoda Superb so far. Really well done. Also head space wise, there's a lot of space left, and the seating position is also not too far laying to the rear. Some sedans, they have this sleeping position in the rear compartment. This one here doesn't. So overall, very good result here for rear passengers. Also here in the rear, the scheme from the top part is being continued with the red on the inside, the stripe, just for styling and clothes in general. And for beverage comfort, you can flip out this armrest here. Also there's a 12-volt power supply and a USB port in the rear. It's good for charging your stuff for the rear guys. You can open the trunk or the boot right here, but also with the key. And when you hold it, well, sometimes it does open like this, sometimes less, sometimes more. That depends on the temperature. Same, for example, is also happening with the Jaguar XF. There's not too much, usability here, but for a sedan, wow, wide entry, and also here it's quite okay, and you can put the stuff really wide in there. So for a sedan, you can very well use it. Of course, if you want to use it even more, then you should go for the sports wagon that will soon be available, the estate version. You can pull and release the back seats from here. Not a really good solution. They don't flip, and again, the estate will rock this version. Also see what's happening here when I'm then flipping the seats from here. It's not that it's possible all the way. There's just a small gap to fill in, and that's not the best solution. You see there's still some space left here, but at least you can load through longer stuff. So overall, good result here from the interior, definitely, I like it. But then those, warning sounds here when you have, for example, those doors opened or ignition on and stuff like that. Bing, bing, bing. Wow. A little bit overwhelmed, but I hate it when it's like beeping that much when something is opened. The same is, by the way, also when you then listen to that when you close the door. There. And the ignition is still on. Ah, so annoying. Alright everyone, let's start our driving part. Start with the reverse gear, and let's see the fake drone view from above. Wow. It's also loud, this additional sensor we have. And that's quite interesting. To see here, the rear view camera could have a little bit better resolution, especially the straight rear view camera. The fake drone view from above is actually quite good. And here we also have some parking boxes, and there I also want to test the feature of the auto park in. Let's see. So, let's say parking spot not parallel, but in a box and at the right side. Let's see. I've activated it. Rolling slowly. Didn't realize it. Car did not realize it. There we go, around in the corner. Let's maybe first see if the car is realizing the parallel parking. Activated it now for the left parallel parking. So there is that. But it said it didn't find a parallel spot. Let's see. Let's just see what the car is doing. So I'm just using the throttle. The car is doing the steering. What does the car want to do? Oh, now it wants to do parallel. Wants to do parallel in a. Wait. What's the car doing? Okay. So that was kind of fail. So that was not a parallel gap, but also not a box gap. I don't know. But let's just try it again. Let's give the car another shot for that parking function. I've driven several cars with the parking function. the automatic parking. But you know, I hardly ever try it because we had the one with the Mercedes E-Class, the all-new one, where it was more autonomously, but then again, most of the time it just works faster than if you just do it on your own. So let's see. Here again, the parking box. Activated for parallel parking. Why isn't the car? So, it's not really realizing it. So those parking boxes, maybe it's you know, too short that the car is not realizing. Let's test the parallel parking again. Maybe here, maybe car's realizing it here. Well, it may work in certain perfect situations. Let's see. Here now again, parallel spot, not doing anything. Steering wheel. Huge Range Rover next to us. Now, let's see. Ah, there it is. That's nice. Great. That's really nice. First gear, yeah, that's it. Nice. So that one worked here now with the parallel parking spot. Maybe with those parking boxes, it's really the thing that those parking boxes were directly around the corner, and maybe the car has to go straight for a little longer while to realize that parking boxes. But here parallel parking worked quite well. And well, this function, it can relieve you from some stress that is maybe possible, because sometimes you work with the steering wheel and then it doesn't really work with the parking, and so that's a very easy system here. But it doesn't work all the time as we've shown you. So not 100%, but let's say 70 maybe. Just have to test on your own if it works in your street perfectly. But always great to see, and how the steering wheel turns on its own, of course. In general, the steering wheel doesn't need much power, so really light feeling. And when first starting with a little bit city driving now, then going motorway and also countryside, we're going to test, of course, how natural the steering feels or not. We're going to find out more about that, of course. And with city driving here, 1.7 liter diesel, 140 horsepower. Acceleration is about 10 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 60 miles an hour. Yes, I know it's not exactly 60 miles, but we're just stating that approximately, really close to that narrow German roads. And when you're really close to the car in front of you, here that also the beeper gets activated. You can always deactivate it here in the middle console, maybe like that, if I'm just standing close to a car at the traffic light and I don't want to be annoyed by it. So always a possibility to deactivate it, or also separate key to activate the camera system. Again, that is also possible, that I can see the car in the front, and also again the fake drone view from above. And I can also switch the cameras again, then just the front camera, just the left front wheels, again right front wheels, that really can check your alloys in the basement garage. The steering here, as I said, very light to control. However, it's still direct. You see, commands are directly transported onto the road, so it is a relatively sporty feeling. They have also worked on that. And you maybe realize, driving 50 kilometers an hour now, about something like that, I don't have to raise my voice that much, because with this all-new generation of the Kia Optima, they have also worked on the sound insulation. That was also one of the main topics. And I'm really looking forward to the countryside driving, because as I've told you earlier, they've stiffened up the car by 50% from the chassis. That should also have an impact on sporty riding. I'm quite sure of that. So steering, it doesn't feel unnatural, although it's easy to control. It also has a compact, sporty size. Car is relatively silent when rolling, so it always gives you a good impression. The seating comfort is also good. I now talked earlier about that. I like the surface of the seat. You also have enough space as a tall driver and can move freely. The spacious feeling here in the front supports this overall feeling, and as I've told you earlier, just also feels good in general with the good qualities used. It also transports this feeling when driving this car. I'm driving a 6-speed manual here. For this engine there's also the dual clutch engine available, and the clutch transmission of course available, and one big thing is the autonomous emergency brake, which I think should be standard with every car from lowest trim level. It's only available together with the automatic gearbox and not here in the manual one. That's really a pity. That's the one thing we found we really have to moan. However, the diesel in general, if you like to drive a diesel, it's not that loud for a diesel. It's also quite refined. 10 seconds was the acceleration here, and so you never lack any power. Also, not when you go in the motorway. The gears are put in very smoothly, so you don't miss that automatic transmission that much. The shifting lever is quite long here, but that also makes it easily accessible when you rest your arm here on the armrest and then shift from there, for example. So very easy access there as well. I can soon also show you some acceleration when we're now going on the motorway. Then you get an impression of the power of this diesel. As I said, there were also those petrol engines available, 2 naturally aspirated ones, 2 turbos. So it depends on your market which one you can pick. You know, the naturally aspirated engines, 2 liter and 2.4, and the turbo, there was also a 2 liter one, but then also this smaller 1.6 liter one, and different horsepower figures. So check out which one is the most relevant for you. I think it's still good that they offer naturally aspirated petrol engines, because those smaller tuned, high revving turbos maybe also not that good for the environment as far as the diesels, because those modern turbo diesels and also modern petrol turbo engines, they produce this, they don't make these big fume particles, but those very fine particles which are especially poisonous for us. So sometimes they are, in this respect, well, there's more consumption maybe sometimes, or more CO2, but less of those very fine particles if you just have a little bit bigger of displacement but a naturally aspirated engine. So I really like it that they still offer it here, and the hybrid as well, as we talked about, that might be also a clever choice for you. So some part here of driving 70 and still not that loud here. Also, let's do some lane change. Oh, they've stiffened up the chassis definitely, and also the suspension is it's definitely sportier now. Before that was a very soft ride. It still is some kind of, it's a very comfortable ride. That's the main focus. But the car became sportier now with the new generation. I'll shift down to the 3rd gear and then do some 70 to 100 kilometer acceleration like now. And that's it. So, I mean, not a rocket, but reasonable. Now going 100 and still not that loud inside here. 5th gear, I can also set in the cruise control. This here is a normal cruise control that is maintaining the speed. Also at higher speeds, the car remains very well maneuverable. There's also not too much side tilting. Maybe the steering wheel here in this, very small turning angles feels a little bit dead then when you're driving at higher speeds like this. There we've had better results, but overall a good and comfortable riding feeling with that one here, definitely. So we're not going that fast because we always drive the speed that is allowed. Some other drivers in Germany don't. So, but there are also speed tickets here, of course. By the way, 100 kilometers an hour, 2000 RPM, 5th gear, but we can also do 3rd gear. Oh, by the way, the cruise control is not maintained when I change the gears. We've seen a different thing. For example, at Volvo, it maintains the speed, so I have to reset the speed again when I set it on. Here 6th gear, 100 kilometers an hour, 1,500 RPMs. That's, you can keep the consumption low. The official consumption going off the motorway is just about 4 liters on 100 kilometers, but it's not realistic. Realistic consumption figure, if you mix everything, is about 7 liters on 100 kilometers an hour. Could be a little bit lower for the diesel. Can always be lower, of course. So, we are approaching our countryside drive. That will be also a very interesting ride, and let's see also if we can spice up this ride to a little bit more of the dynamic driving very soon. I can also show you some acceleration when you're driving a little bit slower. For example, 2nd gear, let's say from 20 to 50 in 2nd gear. Okay, and like now. And that's it. See, the turbo from this diesel always has time to set in. Doesn't come directly. That's normal also with the diesels. They don't come that fast as the petrol engines. But overall, this diesel also gives you good and calm driving feeling. It's not this really attacking sports sedan, but it also doesn't have to be. But as I said, it's sportier than before, and we'll soon also approach some nicer corners where we can also better test that one. When I look at the GPS, it's not the most modern visualization. It's rather a basic visualization, but it's also good to look at while driving, and also, when scrolling around in the map, that would work while driving, but usually I leave that. When I'm driving, I'm more tend to use, normal commands we have here, and using the knobs, because in the touchscreen you're always like moving a little bit when driving. That's a better solution. However, what I'm a little bit missing is here when I'm doing something wrong, just one button to go back somewhere. Because here there's one at the steering wheel to go back in the menu here, but in the menu, in the infotainment screen, well, there is really none. You have to, for example, press map then again. But here with the knob you can zoom in and out the map also without using the touchscreen while driving. That's also perfectly fine. Also the temperature controls are right next to my knees, for example, and they can be easily reached without me being too much disturbed from the road. I usually set in the middle display here the digital speedometer, and I can have a better control of how fast I'm driving. That is what I usually do, and you can control one as well. The steering wheel also set a compass that you know which direction you're driving. One strange thing I mentioned, I realized earlier, is when you set the clutch, then let's see if it happens now here. Maybe it was in lower gears, because I had it like a couple of minutes ago. That always when I set the clutch, there was a clicking sound, like click, somewhere from the front area here. But not when I had the car in neutral. I could press the clutch like a dozen of times, didn't happen. Always when I was in gear, and then I was clutching, and I wanted to set to another gear, and the clutch was always clicking. Funny thing is, as we did this parking experiment, and I came into reverse gear, since then, this failure is gone. So if you have driven the all-new Optima, or maybe it's also an issue of the old one as well, I don't know. If you have had this issue as well, this clicking sound when hitting the clutch, then write me it in the comments. Or if you maybe have an idea where that maybe came from, haven't realized it's yet, and well, I'll just observe it if it comes again. But sometimes those cars, they have their own mind and do what they want, of course. Also shifting back, relaxing, overall a very relaxing ride with this car. The overall driving feeling when driving slowly is not that different to that one of the old generation. Already the old generation was a relaxing ride and overall had a good impression of me when riding. So it's not like you have to sell your old one immediately to get a new one, because it's a huge difference. Of course, the other one, as said, was already good. But I think the main thing is really that the car feels a little bit sportier. For very sporty riders, I think the steering wheel would be a little bit too loose. But that's again, of course, a matter of preference. Maybe some others will say, okay, it's really easy to control. And well, what you see here, there's not much tilting. The car again is very silent. Also the diesel is running very silently. You can have some sporty fun with that car, definitely, no question. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, we have, of course, had sportier mid-size sedans, but this one here also has, you know, its place with setting more pace in the comfort and also on the elegant style we've also seen from the outside already. Well, when you don't really hit the throttle, you don't feel it's a diesel at all. That's also astonishing. So which one would you go for? Would you rather drive the diesel, or would you drive the petrol version here of the Kia Optima? Then put me that one in the comments there as well. Overview. The rear window is rather flat, so it's not the best overview to the rear. Also, of course, in the sedan you can't realize it that well where the car is ending. To the front, it's normal. Also, the front hood is not that long, and so you can control it very well. The sides, I mean, the windows are rather steep, but well, the roofline falls down a little bit. Also, the windows are not that high, so we had better overview in other sedans here as well, but that's also a common trend, that you lose a little bit of the visibility for the better or sportier design on the outside. That's what the manufacturers are doing at the moment. And you can't really blame them, because if you're building a car with great visibility but it doesn't look that good and no one buys it, yeah, that's a problem then, of course. So, and we're approaching now some nice countryside corners where we can test the agility a little bit better. Here we can see how easy the steering wheel is to control. One of the main features here. Even when I hit the throttle, it still feels good. There's really not too much tilting from the suspension. A little bit pushing over the front wheels, but just a little bit. You hear that as well. You know, some bumpy roads as well, but suspension is doing that very well. Of course, it's not an air suspension, but it's not getting rough when I'm going over those bumpy roads here. So there, a good result as well. Some higher speed slalom here. Yeah. So I think overall, they've managed to give us a good package also for riding. You know, it's not a car that stands out so much from the competition, but it's a car where you can't find much to criticize. And I think that's definitely a good step for Kia. Not a revolution in driving here as well in comparison to the previous generation, but they found a way to make it a little bit sportier. And now the conclusion, Kia Optima, the all-new generation. It's not really a revolution if you can compare it to the predecessor model. Just a few things have been tweaked. For example, the sportier ride due to the stiffer chassis, for example. Also, the exterior has just been a little bit tweaked, and basically I like it. It's still a very beautiful car. The interior software updates, for example, that everything works faster and even better controls everything, and also stepped up build quality. So overall, they have found a very good package they are offering here. And as I said earlier, you get the same equipment for less money, or for the same money, you get more equipment, however you want to put it. So it's a very good price performance deal here in the mid-size segment, and especially in Germany, really an underrated car you should also take into your consideration, especially when you're buying it as a private customer, because you get, especially in Germany, this 7 years warranty. Of course, want to hear your opinion here. Exterior, interior and everything else we've covered. Put it in the comments. I'm quite sure we'll see each other at the next Autogefühl episode.